Okay, I think we have everything set up. So, good evening, everyone who's listening. I guess nobody up to this point, but hey, you have a new one here. So, I'm trying a second stream in English this time. Sorry for not producing many lives for the past weeks. Has been a rough 2 or 3 weeks. A lot of difficult things happening, but I'm back. I'll try again. Okay, so for this night, I guess I have a interesting topic. Every time I try to talk about it with my Brazilian friends online, I don't get much feedback. So I think that's a nice topic. Try to broaden my audience, right? Try to reach a broader audience. And we're talking about alternative social media. There's a lot of initiatives going on. There's a lot of projects going on, but it doesn't seem most of them are getting any traction, right? We can see that the big tech still dominating the social discourse. I made some notes here so that I don't get lost. There's a lot of things to talk about, but I just want to condensate all this information to discussing what's keeping those alternatives from flourishing. There's technical reasons, there's social reasons, I guess. But let's start by talk about something. I think I left this impression the last time I did a rant in English, because I was under the impression that I was advocating that we need those alternatives need to be mainstream, right? I was talking about Bitchshoot and talking about the great number of outliers we have there, and those people tend to keep other people away, right? The normal people who look at Bitchshoot, and some of the content will be kept away. And I was under the impression that I was defending that Bitchshoot needs to be more mainstream focused, needs to have more mainstream content. That's not exactly the case. I'm pretty aware that those kinds of alternative platforms will always be some niche platforms, right? But we need to bring meaningful content, not really mainstream content. Because if you look at the internet, if you look at the YouTube, you look at Twitter, you look at Facebook, most of the things that are there are commercial things, right? Like unboxings and innocuous content, right? We that are more engaged in ideological and political discussions tend to think that all Facebook, all Twitter, all YouTube or other mainstream platforms are dominated by political discussion, but that's not the case. Most of it is just innocuous content, and things will remain like that even if some alternative platforms get traction. So it will always be a niche platform. I think, at least I think. And we don't need to worry about making it mainstream. That's even a good thing, right? If we can bring the meaningful content, if we can bring the meaningful discussions and leave those more mainstream things, more commercial things away, leave them on the mainstream platforms, let them monetize in the traditional way, and bring the dissidents here, bring the meaningful discussions here. Hi, Yuri. So that we can have a sufficient platforms, right? Because the problem is we try to post some content, we try to improve, we try to support those platforms, but we always go back to to the mainstream ones to get the content that matters, right? We don't have content enough. We don't have discussions enough on the alternative platforms, and that's in the most part, that's a chicken and egg problem, right? How can we bring it? How can we bring to this alternative? It's not worth it for great content creators. It just makes sense for people who are starting, like me, like myself, like other creators who are already on those platforms. But to start a more specific discussion, let me first say that tonight we're playing Super Tux Kart. If you're not familiar with that, that's an open source game, an open source racing game, which resembles Mario Kart, right? But using mascots for open source project. It's an open source game. You can download it, play it. It's really funny. Recently, the project released a update with a new renderer using OpenGL 3. It became much prettier. So I think it's an enjoyable game. I'm not just promoting it, but it's an enjoyable game. So let's start. Oh, what is that? Oh, okay. I think last time I left on the history mode, so I'm looking for complete those missions, right? Every bubble, each bubble is a mission that I need to fulfill some requirements. Okay, Grand Prix. Guess I'll play that. Mediate, okay. Okay, for starters, as I talked about Bitchshoot, that's one of the most successful platforms up to this point, but they are struggling with some things, right? I guess the original developers, Ray and Rich, they lost a lot of platforms for monetization, right? They lost access to PayPal. They lost the Indiegogo campaign. I guess Ray was trying to raise a crowdfunding to develop a new comment tool, right? Because they are using Discus up to this point, and he set up a Indiegogo campaign, but that was cancelled after some heat piece or something like it, because Bitchshoot gets a lot of heat from media, right? Because they are home for far right people or something like it, which is not the case. It's just a free speech platform. So now they are trying to monetize mostly for crypto and Subscribestar, but they're not getting the same success in raising this money. I hope they can get back on track, because the platform is the platform development most stalled since March, I guess, when the campaign was canceled. But and apart from the stigma of far right platform, this bad reputation, they need to improve a lot of technical things, right? Like the uploader tool doesn't work very well. I uploaded a lot of videos to Bitchshoot, and I struggled a bit trying to figure out why some videos are not being uploaded. There's some issues with special characters in the name of the file, and sometimes the upload simply fails, right? It takes a lot of time to process and ends up not working at all. So they have to fix that, and I don't see that as a necessary thing, but HD video would be a good thing. 720p or 1080p, but that's not an urgent thing. There are other platforms where you can upload full HD videos. Okay, I lost here. Trying to concentrate on two things. Those races are not as easy as they seem. I'll try again. So they have those technical things to improve. Because regarding adoption, I think it's the best platform. You have a lot of channels going there with backup there, right? Even some guys I wouldn't think would be there, but they are. Many alternative right channels, many new right channels, but a lot of libertarian channels as well. So that's a good thing. They just need to improve the platform, restore the web torrent support, right? That would be nice as well. If you're not aware, web torrent is a protocol for decentralized content, right? It's like torrent but in the browser, where many people instead of just copying videos to prevent censorship, people can simply copy the magnet URI that links to that video and seed it, right? You just create a new seed. You just create a new copy of the same video and act as a new source. You don't need to duplicate it like you would do on YouTube or something like it. But for now, as far as I know, WebTorrent is not enabled, it's disabled. And I don't know what happened. A lot of platforms that are supposedly using WebTorrent are not using it at all. Maybe there's some issue with the protocol, and I have not heard anything from the WebTorrent developers on the last months, over the last months. So maybe it's a upstream issue, right? I hope it gets fixed soon. Because that's a nice concept, right? If you can decentralize content like this, you're not decentralizing everything, because the site, the web page is still centralized. It's still a gateway to watch that. But it makes it easier to bring the videos to other platforms. If you can always have a decentralized magnet URI like you would do with torrent, with traditional torrent. So those would be nice things. Okay, going on. There's a lot of platforms, a lot of promising platforms. There's something like a more direct competitor to Bitchshoot, which is BitTube, which was recently updated to BitTubers. They created a new site. It's like Bitchshoot is a web torrent video platform, but they also add some social media features, right? Like social network features. You can have some text posts, you can post images, music, and something like it, but all use the same web torrent protocol. So I think that's a nice project, but I'm afraid it doesn't bring too much differential, too much innovation compared to the platforms that are more established, like Minez. I think Minez is one of the most promising ones. First, because it's open source, so that's a nice thing. That's really important. I don't know why BitChute or BitTubers are not open source. Maybe they're trying to they don't believe in this model as a way to earn money. Maybe they will open source this in the future. But Minez, I think they got the right approach. By making it open source, they can be really more transparent. And to be fair, they have a far better PR than BitChute or BitTubers. I think Bill Ottman is appearing on a lot of channels, he was on Tucker Carlson, right? Talking about censorship. So he got a lot of exposition. And that helped Minez. they staged a event on New Jersey on September, if I'm not mistaken, which was very successful. So I think they are on the right track, and I really like the platform. I like the things they are adding to the platform. Development's going strong. Every day on GitLab you can see a lot of commits. I think the only problem with Minez is its own success. as contradictory as it seems, because people start to get suspicious about it, right? There was those controversial events regarding the jury system, right? Because they were trying to offload the process of judging posts, of controlling content. Because they allow for most of things, but there's some things that are not, you can't allow on a platform, right? You can't allow some child pornography or direct threats. So they had to moderate that, but they were trying to offload this process to the users by creating a jury system where people can, where you could appeal, where you could appeal to about a decision, and if people voted on your favor, you could overturn some central decision. So it was a attempt. It was a attempt to decentralize the decision making, right? To offload the decision regarding content, what is allowed and what is not, to the people, to the users. But that was when it was in the early stages. Some content by a prolific YouTuber, David Wood, which I had been following for a good time, was tagged. It wasn't deleted. It was tagged with "not safe for work." Oh, not again. And he got all upset, and I can understand his side. He was banned for a lot of platforms, so I think that makes you're too sensible to more censorship, right? He gets this feeling that he's being persecuted, so he made a lengthy video complaining about Minez, and that hurt their image, right? That harmed their image. I think it was, he shouldn't be doing that before talking to the Minez representatives, but that's what he did, and we can't do anything about it. But it was really bad for PR, and people started to think that the jury system was some form of censorship, and it was the contrary, right? They were trying to offload decision making. They were trying to offload the decision process. But a lot of people didn't understand that, and got a lot conspiratorial about it. Oh, like Bill Ottman is a sellout. Minez people are sellouts. They're trying to censor. No, the platform is in its early stages. I think they deserve a vote of confidence, right? I think they deserve some confidence, because the platform they're doing is really promising, is really well made. The interface has some quirks, that's true, but they're improving, so I'm still putting my trust on them. And recently they updated the video limit, because in the past you could only post 15-minute videos. Now you can post a lot more. You can, if you have a pro account, a plus account, you can post up to 1 hour of video. So that's nice to have a channel there as well, to have a backup there. In the end, I'm hoping they restore the WebTorrent support as well, because at some point they had WebTorrent, but as BitTube and Bitchshoot, I think there's some upstream problem and WebTorrent's not working properly. I don't know. That's a shame, but I hope it's restored. On the other hand, they were researching some decentralization alternatives, right? at some point they were looking at that, which was a decentralized internet protocol, but nobody was using it, to be honest. Just the only application using it was the reference browser, which was Beaker browser. I think they've abandoned it, seeing that it didn't have much future. Then they start looking at IPFS, which is a more robust protocol for decentralized internet, a more well-developed protocol, but that's still in the early stages. Same way as WebTorrent, they do not have a monetization infrastructure, right? Because that's one of the big issues when you're dealing with decentralized internet or decentralized internet protocols. If you do not have a incentives mechanism, it's difficult to bring people in, right? Why would you do that? Why would you let your computer hosting content all the day, providing content all the day, if you're not gaining anything from it? So if you do not have a monetization scheme, you won't have much success. But for IPFS, there's Filecoin being developed, right? It's a monetization scheme running on a blockchain, and looks very promising. So I hope it gets some traction in the next year. Aside from that, they were really pushing after disabling WebTorrent. They were really pushing for ActivityPub. If you're familiar with Gab, which is another platform that recently got some huge changes, ActivityPub is a open protocol for federated internet. It's not as decentralized as IPFS, but you can have a lot of servers for the same application communicating with each other, right? You can have some. If you're not satisfied with the rule of one server, you can migrate to another server and stay on the same application. It's the protocol used by Macedon. If you know Macedon. Macedon is a nice platform, technically speaking, but considering the content's not that great, because the developers are some huge leftists, some Antifa sympathizers, so I don't like that. I was banned there. I was banned from their main server, because after complaining that they were trying to boycott Gab in adopting this protocol, right? But recently Gab migrated to ActivityPub and opened the source. Before it was a closed source platform, now it's open source and using ActivityPub, so that's really nice to promote ActivityPub and the Fediverse, which is the collection of ActivityPub applications. And now Minez is looking into it. They have a ticket. They researching it. They're trying to implement some ActivityPub support, which would be really great, because if you have some interoperability between Minez and Gab, you can have there some huge community, because those are the biggest platforms, right? Minez and Gab are the biggest alternative platforms. So if you have some collaboration, some unintended collaboration between them, that can be pretty huge. I'm willing to set up my own Minez server if they manage to implement this. I don't think I would have much traffic, so some Raspberry Pi will do the job. I guess I lost here. Okay. Oh, let me see here. Yeah, King.com. Maybe he's really trying, but I don't really believe the guy, right? He's far too crazy. On one side, he looks pretty libertarian, but then he starts supporting leftist regimes, communist regimes. It's like John McAfee, right? I don't think he knows what he's doing. I mean, technically speaking, he should know what he's doing, but he might know what he's doing, but I don't think he has all the screws in his head, right? yeah, Macedon, regarding content, Macedon sucks. You have some technology servers, which are nice, but now you can access them from Gab, so it's fine. You don't need to use Macedon. You can use Gab. I'm just waiting for Gab developers to fix the issues and start publishing some instructions for federation, because up to this point, I guess the only Gab server is gab.com. So I hope they fix that. I hope that gets traction. I hope, because you have a lot of like dissident content creators, so to speak, on Gab, and I assume that many of them are willing to set up servers. So if you have a true federated network, have a true Gab Fediverse, that can be huge, and even huger if Minez join the team, right? So I'm pretty excited about this. Okay, and considering that both of them are open source, even if they deviate from the intended course, the expected course, one can always just fork the code, right? I think there's a lot of people capable of doing that. What is that? I think that's a time trial. Okay, going forward, a platform that left me really disappointed was DLive, because for live streaming today you have two main platforms, right? You have YouTube and you have Twitch, and those are censoring a lot of content. So some rightfully so, but many content creators are being unfairly censored. So we really need an alternative. We really need an alternative for live streaming. And DLive presented itself as a solution. It's like a decentralized platform. They sold themselves as a decentralized streaming platform, or a would-be centralized streaming platform. But as Scott Cunningham said, if you're not familiar with Scott Cunningham has a channel talking about crypto solutions. Before it was called Scott C Business, but now I think the name changed. And he made a lengthy review of DLive, showing that as the time goes, DLive is getting more centralized and not less. Supposedly they were running on the Nano blockchain, but to withdraw your funds, to withdraw your Nano points, you have to provide a government ID. So how can a platform be decentralized if you need a government ID, right? The intention in the first place was to get rid of government influence, and now you're bowing to them. Recently there was an update to the Nano blockchain. They are approaching the mainnet launch, and DLive started adopting what they call a decentralized asset, a digital asset, if I'm not mistaken. And then they replaced the Nano points for lemons, which were like the ICO, which were digital assets of the Nano blockchain. They're digital assets for the Nano blockchain, and now I'm not sure if they have some value outside the application, right? There was a document where they explained that, but all that seemed shady. I'm not sure that DLive is trying to do really decentralized live stream, and which really sad, because as Yuri said here, PewDiePie is there. Like, PewDiePie is there. They made an agreement where PewDiePie is just streaming on DLive, So that brought a lot of people, a lot of channels went there, and maybe they're being fooled. I'm not sure if DLive developers are going to really decentralize their platform, because even the monetization process, which was a more decentralized one, are tied to their central authority and the use of IDs and all this. If you know a good decentralized live streaming platform, tell me in the comments, because I can't find a good one. There's some Steam-based ones, but I'm not that acquainted to Steam it. I don't like it. There's a lot of fishy things going on there as well. The early adopters are getting most of the money. So I don't like things Steam-based. A lot of platforms that were Steam-based were changing to their own blockchains and their own solutions. DLive's one of them. DLive started as a Steam platform. YouTube started as a Steam platform, and now they are building their own blockchain. Yeah, well, it's time to create new platforms, but we can't create a new platform every time, right? We can't suffer for this not invented here syndrome. We have to consolidate platforms which are resilient, which allow people to protect their content, which have some decentralized decision making, decentralized decision process, as Minez is trying to do, as Gab's trying to do. And I think that's why they're so successful. They don't make you trust the developers that much by opening the source, by proposing decentralization solutions. But they do not have live streaming for now. There's another promising platform appearing now, which is like a Patreon replacement called Float app. On the past, you had Bitbacker. Bitbacker got some traction as a crypto-based Patreon, but they were acquired by Float, and now Float is integrating the Bitbacker solution into it. So I think Float's promising. If I'm not mistaken, they are open source as well. Their application is open source as well, and they have live streaming support. For now, you have to stream with OBS, but there's, apart from the learning curve, OBS is a fine solution. I'm using OBS now. Maybe some people will get some difficulties dealing with it because it's not as straightforward as some people would like. But I'm under the impression that you can use Lightstream to stream to Float as well, because it's just a matter of getting the RTMP key and streaming from there. So I guess it's all fine. They just need to implement some support for more crypto, because right now you can only donate in Bitcoin, and donating in Bitcoin is not an optimal solution, to be fair. Take a lot of time to donate. The block times are high, the fees are high. If you could donate on Litecoin or Dash or Ethereum or Nano, it would be nice options. They would be nice options. But they are trying to implement this. Okay, let's see if I forgot some solution. Okay, talking about open source and some platforms that are delivering, I've ignored library for a long time, LBRY, but recently I started using it and it looks really promising. Library is a platform which is delivering. I think they took a different approach. Platforms like Minez try to set up a lot of features, implement a lot of features, and then started decentralizing them. Library started as a pretty bare platform, but they started decentralized from the beginning. They were decentralized from the beginning. They have an app. You do not access library from your browser. You have an P2P app where you can post content and you can already host content for other people. So they started decentralizing and then started implementing new features on top of this already in a decentralized manner. Their monetization process works really well. They have a Twitter bot where you can donate to people. You can withdraw funds. It's working pretty nice. You have a lot of content there, right? As well. The same way that Bitchshoot gets a lot of the alternative right content or some politic dissidents content, library gets a lot of more technology focused content. So it's a good platform, technically speaking and content speaking. You already talked about Open Bazaar. That's a promising one as well. They were using IPFS to host a market platform, right? Instead of selling on eBay, or here in Brazil we have Mercado Livre, which is similar to eBay. You can use a decentralized way to trade and trade on crypto that makes some sell and buy a lot of different things, or even use it as a exchange, a crypto exchange. Looks very promising. I like what you're doing. I never bought anything there because I'm not sure the delivery would work very well. As I said, it's a chicken and egg problem, and even more here in Brazil because people are not willing to use those platforms as much as in the US, I think. There's a lot of inertia here regarding those things, and that's why I don't get a lot of feedback every time I try to promote those platforms. I get more feedback from foreign people. You gringos are making me keep doing this. Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, Open Bazaar works is more of a solution where in places where you have more regulation, right? Where you have to go through more bureaucracy to sell things. Not that Brazil doesn't have bureaucracy enough; you have a lot of it, but you can still sell things without much regulation. If you're not willing to collaborate with government, right? I'll try this race here just one more time. But back to library, they have a nice platform. They do not have many features for now, in my opinion. But it's getting nice. You can back up your YouTube channel the same way you can do with Bitchshoot or BitTubers. And it's already working in a decentralized manner. So take a look at library, fully open source as well, and their decentralized protocol. They're not using WebTorrent. They are using their own protocol, their own library protocol, has our monetization already built in, right? So you don't need a third-party solution. every transaction, every service every time you host some content, every time you provide content, every time someone watch your content, you already getting credits. You're already getting LBC credits. Okay. It's spelled LBRY, library, but no, it's what's the word for? But when you talk, it sounds like library.io. Yeah, like that, but it doesn't end with .com. It ends with .io. Now they set up a web-based solution which is library.tv. That way you can watch the content, you can watch the videos without the desktop app. And I think it would be great for adoption, right? People start watching videos on library.tv and then thinking, well, that's a nice solution. I'll start hosting it. I'll start earning some credits. Hi, Nick. Or should I say, Ricardo Salles? Oh, okay, nice. .com works as well. I don't know why I restarted the race. I was getting out. Okay, let's try again. I don't know what's the criteria for winning this. It's just a time trial or what? I should have read the instructions. Okay. Oh no. What do we have more here? What did I do? Okay. Talking about P2P, talking about fully decentralized solutions, you also have Bisque, right? I don't know if you're familiar with Bisque Exchange. It's a solution for a decentralized exchange, a DEX, based on Tor. So it makes you really anonymous, and you can make transactions on a lot of different options for transactions. You can trade on national currency, you can trade on cryptocurrency. The only issue for now is that it's written in Java first. I don't know if you like Java, but Java sucks, to be honest, and takes a lot of memory. I'm not able to run it recently because the memory usage is huge, is absurd. I hope they fix it quickly. I hope they fix it soon. And they do not have support to different crypto. You can mostly buy Bitcoin. You can exchange for other types of crypto, but Bitcoin always have to be an intermediary, right? You cannot like trade Dash for Litecoin or something like it. You have to trade Dash for Bitcoin and then Bitcoin for Litecoin if you're willing to do it. But it's already a solution. And apart from the memory issues, the resource usage issues, it works pretty well. Today, I'm not sure if they released it today or yesterday, the new version, the 1.2 version, which removed the amount cap, because previously you could only trade 0.01 Bitcoin, but now you can trade more. And you have some solutions for dispute resolutions. You have in Scroll. You can have an internal chat to solve some issues with bad sellers and buyers. So for now, it looks like it's working fine, and it can only improve. But when you look at all those solutions, you can see they are still on the initial stages, right? As much as I want them to succeed, as much as I want people to adopt them, it's difficult to do so because they don't. Most of them do not feel ready yet. Even Minez, which is pretty solid, doesn't feel ready yet. They have a lot of quirks. It takes a lot of dedication for you to. It takes some dedication for you to learn how to use it. So up to this point, it would be difficult to bring people in as much as I would like it. And that's a chicken and egg problem, right? Because to develop is costly. Developing is costly. You don't you think that people just sit on front of a computer and start typing code and everything works? You need to pay people to do that. That's the reality. And they won't get much funding if they don't get much adoption, but they won't get much adoption if the platform is not developed enough, and to develop the platform they need funding. So it's a tricky issue. Oh, look at this. I'm a supporter of some of those. I'm supporting financially Minez and Bitchshoot because I think they are, that's worth it. I don't know if you can support library. I think the only way you can support library is by creating content and earning credits. I think that's what they're expecting, and making the token go up in price, right? But they'll need some support for people who are willing to, or people who are desiring some alternative ways to publish content, right? Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to be tied to YouTube and Facebook and Twitter forever. I want to see those alternative, open source, decentralized platforms succeed. Even if they're not open source, if they allow you to have some guarantees for your content, that's fine. Okay, no problem. I think I'm almost finishing here. Oh, apart from that, even if I do not care that much about platforms being open source, but well, to be honest, I care. But I can understand some people not doing that. But if they asked me, I would recommend them to do so, because that removes the need for trust, right? The good thing about an open source application is that you don't need to trust developers, right? You can just check the code. If they are doing something fishy, you can just fork it. You can just branch it. That's what makes cryptocurrency so successful. And to some extent, that's what that's what limits. That's something that brings some issues as well, right? Because look at all the Bitcoin forks, but that's some collateral effect, and you can't escape that. It's better to have a lot of forks than to never have your platform succeeding, because people don't trust you. People are not willing to trust you. So that would be nice for some projects that are still closed source, like Bitchshoot and BitTubers. And DLive, for that matter. I still have some hope on DLive. I'm streaming on DLive right now, right? Because I didn't saw a better solution. The live can be bad, maybe bad, but that's not as bad as Twitch or YouTube. If they keep not delivering what they promised, I'll just try to migrate to Float app. If they improve the live streaming support. I don't know. I was just trying to talk about some of the most promising platforms, in my opinion, and talk about these fundamental issues on adoption, right? This chicken and egg problem, this funding problem, that they're pretty much inevitable. But I'm still supporting those platforms. I'll keep supporting them. I'll try to use more of them and post some content. And I hope you do the same. If you know a different one, if you know a different project which looks promising to you, post this on the comments. I'll post most of the links regarding the things I talked about on the comments as well, on the description, on the video description as well, so you can look it up. And I think that's for now. Tell me what you think about it. I know I'm still quite nervous because of my English. I have some knowledge of have some experience in conversations, but it's still not as smooth as I would like to. I hope I improve, because I think speaking English properly is a needed skill nowadays, right? You can't be too arrogant. You can't be too proud to say, "Oh, I won't bow down to those imperialists." But I hope to improve, and I hope to bring more people in, more audience. I've reached some ceiling regarding my subscribers. I have some like 60, almost 700 subscribers, and I can't go past that. So if I can bring some foreign people in, that would be a nice thing. Not just for my channel, but to improve discussion, right? I want to reach different people. I want to bring in different discussions, because I didn't have much success reaching to my fellow Brazilians. So I think that's it for now. I hope to come back soon and produce more content. The last, as I said, the last wins were really rough. I wasn't really motivated to do that, but I'll try to get back soon. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and till next time.